Hi, my name is Brittany Guadagno, and for my paper, I chose to read about the Anglo-European culture because my background is Italian and Irish. And I chose to read about families with Middle Eastern roots because many of my students do have a Middle Eastern background, and I wanted to learn more about their culture. It states in the chapter that early interventionists could be more effective in helping children with Middle Eastern roots if they understand the general beliefs and practices that are typically shared by parents of Middle Eastern roots. I noticed a slight difference in the values among Anglo-Europeans and Middle Easterners. Anglo-Europeans typically speak out about their own thoughts and beliefs, and they take great pride in their own achievements. Whereas in Middle Eastern cultures, they often take more pride in their family members' achievements than they do their own, actually. In the Middle East, when a woman becomes pregnant, the family typically prefers the baby to be a boy. They find that having a boy is something to celebrate, whereas in Anglo-European cultures, the family will typically have no preference. In the Middle East, childbirth is seen as a woman's affair, where in Anglo-European cultures, childbirth is something that the father is typically very engaged in. I noticed a lot of differences among childcare between Anglo-Europeans and Middle Easterners as well. Anglo-Europeans typically encourage independence among children at a young age, whereas Middle Easterners encourage attachment and parent-child bonding. Anglo-Europeans typically ensure that their children are toilet trained, can feed themselves, dress themselves, bathe themselves, whereas Middle Easterners do not push their children to learn these skills at a young age. Middle Eastern cultures prefer their child to grow up as interdependent, whereas Anglo-European cultures prefer their child to grow up as independent. And when children in Anglo-European cultures have a disability and struggle in school, parents and teachers typically work together to provide the best education possible for the child. Where in Middle Eastern cultures, if a child struggles in school, the parent will typically blame the teacher or the school. Children are expected to do well in school in the Middle East, and these children receive little praise for doing well, whereas in Anglo-European culture, the children receive a great deal of praise for performing well in school. In Middle Eastern cultures, if a child has a disability, parents will typically feel extremely guilty and ashamed. Fathers often view the child's disability as a scar on the family's pride. And according to the chapter, some uneducated families believe that they're being punished from something that they have done wrong in the past if they have a child with a disability. People from Anglo-European roots typically do not believe anyone is at fault for having a child with a disability. I did read one story in the chapter that really stuck out to me. There was a story about a family whose father left the mother and daughter due to the child's disability, as well as tension between the father and the mother regarding how to handle this disability. And this really stuck out to me because I do see this very often at my own job. I'm a teacher aide currently at NASA BOCES, and at the moment I do have 2 students with Middle Eastern roots whose mothers were left by their fathers due to the child's disability. I'm not sure if this is a coincidence or if this is truly something that's very common among Middle Eastern cultures. We do see this among those of Anglo-European roots as well, though. In Anglo-European families, there is often a large amount of tension placed on a marriage when the parents have a child with a disability, and this tension could be the result of stress as well as disagreeing on how to properly care for this child.